Perfect. Great wave to it. Alright, so if you're just joining in, which you are, Manny's doing a haircut, and today we're using a real live person. Karina. And what are you doing, Manny?
I'm setting in an outline consisting of diagonal back sections, more on the horizontal side. And the reason they are on the diagonal back section.
Well, first off, what are we doing here? What's going on here?
Okay, so Karina's texture of hair, or amount of hair, is greater than most.
Right.
So instead of dealing with all that length or all that amount of hair that's working, I went ahead and sectioned this just completely out.
To get it out of the way.
Right.
Cool.
So I want to build a nice bob type haircut first. So I'm gonna bring sections down only to the rounds of the head to establish that, and then I'll layer it afterwards. Because of her hair and her wave, I feel like her hair is gonna just spring up. So I'm gonna leave these sections on top longer to fall over it and just kind of keep everything reduced so it's not so big.
Gotcha.
Right? So going back to why the sections are diagonal back, because starting in the front, right away, you eliminate the guessing game of where that line's going to end up. Starting in the back, you think you're going to end up, or you're guessing, somewhere mid neck or below.
Yeah.
But you end up sometimes getting either longer or shorter, or it's not balanced. When you start off in the front, right away, you can see in the mirror, or you can see right away here, where that line's going to end up. And then when you do the other side, you know it's going to be balanced from the get-go. And the reason it's diagonal back is the hairline in the front reaches a higher point than the hairline in the back. Right? So if I took just horizontal sections starting in the front, I'd have a pretty good amount of hair to work with in this area, but then the back would be really dense. So diagonal back sections gives me usually around the same amount of weight to work with, or density of hair, to set up my length or my gap.
Cool.
And knowing that her hair is wavy, the last thing I want to do is put a lot of tension here. So I'm just going to use a good amount of moisture to kind of keep the hair from jumping up on me too much, but I'm letting the hair just fall naturally. Earlier in my career, I used to feel like the hair had to be bone straight for me to keep that line nice and consistent, but every time I would put my fingers there or stretch the hair, it would, as soon as I let go, it would go back to do whatever it wanted to do. So I found myself refining a lot more. So instead of trying to chase that line, I'm just going to let it do what it wants to do, because chances are, after the hair has been blown out, I'm going to go back and refine it anyways. So I'm not going to waste so much time trying to get it perfect right now. Really, the goal is to just eliminate the excess length so we can then work from there. Working with the balance line. It's not really getting much longer towards the front or longer towards the back. And then from there, when we have a pretty good amount of hair to work with, start to layer it, allowing some of that length to drop out.
Gotcha. So again, what Manny's doing is basically he's putting in a perimeter first, working from the front into the back. Yes, I am behind the camera. Today, Manny's going to cut some hair.
Yeah, I feel like the last couple times Or the first times we were doing this, I was the one cutting, and the last few times you were the one cutting, so now it's back to me cutting.
Yeah.
The idea is for someone to be cutting, for us to be doing something.
Yeah.
And
Look at Manny's water spray here. Where'd you get that from, Manny?
Tijuana,
Tijuana.
Dots.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I actually got it from Jen, from her kit. So once again, just allowing the hair to do whatever it wants to do. If I use too much tension, or if I try and keep my comb in there, I'm gonna just stretch that texture or her wave out, and as soon as I let go, it's gonna jump back up. So I'm just going with whatever the hair wants to do anyways.
So allowing that texture to do exactly what it wants, and you're putting the line in.
Yeah. Once again, if you're very particular about your lines or making sure it's beautiful, maybe a good thing to do if you're very particular is to blow dry the hair, flat iron it nice and straight, so you have a nice consistent texture of hair, and then cut the line. But
yeah, you know what? It's kind of like apples and oranges, that one, because what if you do that and then you do allow the texture to take over? What's going to happen with that line, with the natural texture? You know what I mean? It was cut with it blow dried. So it's kind of like catch-22. It just depends on what you're really looking for. Here we're going with natural.
I was talking to DJ, I really like the idea of possibly even allowing the hair to dry naturally today.
Totally.
Because it just seems like that's the times that we live in now. We're not flat ironing so much anymore.
Well, it seems like there's a lot of process going into making people look like their hair dried naturally, and majority of those people have straight hair, so it's still a lot of iron work, but now it's a wand or a curling iron. Whereas here we're working with this natural texture. It's perfect. You don't have to do any of that excess work. So we've gone for that kind of like longer bob kind of shape. So somewhat similar to the layered bob that we did last week in the tutorial. But I really do enjoy working this length from the front into the back, so you eliminate all that guesswork from starting back here, and then you turn that corner and you realize that you're too short.
Alright. So at this point I'm pretty much going to just drop this a little bit, and then I won't continue, and then just start again on the opposite side the same way. I'm actually going to use the mirror too to help me figure out what length to start off with. I'm really trying to work as how do you say, organically with the hair, not trying to clip too much hair out of the way, not trying to section it too much, allowing the hair to do whatever it wants to do, and definitely not trying to force it to go somewhere it doesn't really want to go. Because chances are, tomorrow or the next day, that's where the hair wants to go again, so might as well just cut it where it wants to go. And it seems very jagged and very rough. That's okay.
But look at it from a distance, and it's just working because you're allowing for that natural texture.
So far, so good.
You know, a lot of it's common sense. You just got to let the hair do what it wants to do, because it's going to do that when it leaves you. You're not going to walk around holding that line in place in your comb or in your fingers. So
With a fine tooth.
yeah, you just got to let it go and let it be.
Be like Elsa.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Let it go.
So, starting the second side.
So you can do the same exact thing now.
Yeah, but I'm going to use the mirror to help me sort of
Gauge
figure
your
out.
kind of lengths.
Exactly. So I'm going to start trying to get the same amount of hair from the hairline all the way through. That's why I'm using a diagonal back section. And the good thing is on this side, I'll actually pick up some hair that I've already cut, so that'll help me as well.
What's up, James? James says, hola.
James Mold?
Yes, he's using his Spanish.
Oh, he's so talented, that guy.
Yeah.
It's just a triple threat. Hi, James.
She's got quite the wave there, doesn't she? Really
I like
cool.
it.
Perfect.
So I'm actually even.
So, do you have any tricks for when you're doing this to balance up one side versus the other when you're starting from the front?
Yeah. Start off, gauge on the side of longer, right? Go back and pair, and then you can always take a little bit more off, opposed to trying to nail it, and then
Yeah.
most likely it's going to be a little shorter.
Yeah.
And you go back and take more off.
Yeah.
And at this point, the other side is actually drying a little bit, so it's going to come off. So, sorry, Karina. You just re-wet it.
Someone just said, "Hola, Plex."
Oh,
That's awesome.
yeah.
You get a star.
So I'm just going to allow this hair to fall, do what it wants to do. Once again, just go for the longer length. It's going to jump up quite a bit. And the good thing too here is I got this length from the back. and
Exactly, so you can meet those two now.
Exactly. So I'm just do that.
Hi, yes, it's the factory. We're here hanging out, cutting hair, drinking beer, sharing things. Aaron's here, back from his Euro trip, wearing his yellow shoes and his Bad Brains top.
It's all the rage in
Yeah.
South of France.
And he's got ears and a nose now. So good. Anywho, turn that off.
Oh, you did a filter?
Oh yeah, we've already had everyone like going, oh, that's a good karma.
There you go. Don't really care.
Turn that off.
Alright.
So now we're
Just continuing. It's not the most exciting of moments, but we just gotta get through it.
Is Manny using Mizutani shears?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which ones? Oh, you're using the lefty factory pen slam.
Mm-hmm.
So it's same as what I've been using lately, but obviously you can tell Manny is left-handed.
Born this way. Like Lady Gaga.
He was born that way.
I'm just gonna go ahead and drop most of this. Can't see it all. Oh, that place.
It's cool when you actually hear the air fall.
Like it slaps the ground.
Slippy, slappy.
Slappy. Slippy.
So I could see the guy crystal clear right in there.
Crystal clear?
Yeah.
Okay. You ever looked at a crystal? It's not very clear, is it?
I have crystals
I
for
know.
good vibes, good
Crystals.
energy.
You got good energy today? Your chakra.
Venus.
So now you've got an outline.
This side is shorter.
So you can see he's just definitely working with how it naturally falls. He's not pulling on the hair. He's looking at it visually for balance. I always say that you see balance and imbalance. You don't really feel it. So that's why he's not really measuring the hair in his hands.
All right, we'll revisit that afterwards.
So now we're going to go to
The interior, so
All
starting
right.
in the back.
cool.
I know that these haircuts that we've been doing lately aren't the most, exciting.
Oh, I think they are.
Well, some people might not. The hair's not being.
Shaved or
off.
asymmetrical all the time. But to do that, you've got to know how to do all this.
Well, these are some. Our goal is really to show something that you can, benefit from as far as like utilizing your everyday workflow. So in your salon, you take a vertical section starting in the back, and I'm going to work on the outside of my fingers to have the natural ability to lift to preserve the outline. So I'm taking some of that hair, allowing for that length to just drop out. Hair's coming 90 degrees or above. Bye, guys.
Bye, kids. See ya. Ciao.
You're going through viral territory.
Right. So, before you cut that, what are you using as a guide? Like, what's your deciding factor of where you? Because you got all these different lengths in here. I'm noticing.
Potential, yeah.
Yeah.
I personally think it goes into taste level and what do you visualize or what are you envisioning your density to look like afterwards.
Right.
So the more hair that drops out, the more dense the perimeter remains. If I were to start my layers further down here,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to actually remove a little bit more weight, and then your outline really just remains that.
Right.
But when you drop more weight out or more length, then this stays more intact. So I am planning on giving the outline a little bit more of a fuller, more intact
Effect. So
plane,
that's
yeah.
why you're leaving that to drop
Exactly.
away.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm really just going to remove a little bit of weight to give the hair a little bit more movement. So, taking that as my vertical section, now I'm going to move out towards the side.
So vertical section in.
But instead of working from the center all the way over to this side, and then taking the center and then working this way, because it's really hard to get the hair balanced sometimes, especially if you don't feel like you have that ability to nail it from the very beginning. Something that's really helped me is I'll take one section on the right side and then take a same section on the left side, do that, cross check, see where I'm at, then do another section, then do another section. Once I feel like I have a pretty good balance, then I'll just add these little edges. So that was section number 2 on the right side. Now I'm going to take another section on the left side. So bringing that same hair straight back.
So I got a few people here saying it's definitely not boring, and we're not looking for crazy cuts. We do everyday hair,
Right.
so that's good.
Yeah.
That's the whole point in doing this, guys. It's knowledge destroys fear. It's just
You can
understanding what does what.
Yeah, you can see right here, DJ, that.
Yeah.
So just in those 3 sections I've taken, the outline remains, but above it, you just loosened it up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Imagine when that expands too.
Yeah.
And it's going to get heavier as you move towards the front.
So I started right down the center, and I did one section on the right side and one section on the left. So I'm going to just cross-check it now. Actually, I'm going to cross-check it.
Sorry.
It's all good. Using the outside of my fingers. I'm just going to let it be fine. So I'm encouraging myself to lift
And
or
protect.
elevate,
Yeah.
this way. That's why I'm cross-checking it this way.
Cool.
Yeah, so now I'm gonna move on. That was just a little checkpoint right there. I'm all about the checkpoints.
Manny lives in Tijuana, which is in Mexico, which is south of the border.
Yeah.
So he's checkpointing it every day.
Checkpoint Chuck.
Checkpoint Charlie right here. So continuing in the same manner, pulling back, pulling away from what you want to keep, not only up, but backwards too, right?
Right. So then I'm going to move over and do the other one on this side. And I know it may seem like so like basic or so plain and safe, but you know what? Especially because we're live, I want to make sure I nail the balance. It's very difficult. I already kind of like was a little short in the outline, so the least I could do is make sure that the interior weight is balanced. Alright, so I'm going to check it again. And really this is just the back. Once I start to incorporate these guys, these remaining sections, that's when the hair starts to build length towards the front.
How come you're not alternating body positions as you're working each side?
That's a really good question, Aaron. So, standing on this side when I do the other one, because of the way my hand and my arm are positioned. So, on the other side, I was cutting it
Fingertips up.
this way. And if I want a nice consistent cross check or a nice consistent haircut, I try to remain as consistent as possible. So the fact that I did one entire side doing it this way, I have a better chance for me personally. Some people, they can control it either way. But I have a better opportunity to nail it on the other side if I do the same thing I did on one side. If I stand here, I might stand a little bit further over, I might elevate a little bit different. Something's going to be just a little bit off.
Yeah, I
personally.
mean, it's that thing, Aaron, of like coming up from the bottom versus coming from the top. If he comes up from the bottom, then he's probably going to have the opportunity to build weight and maintain head shape, like convex. And then if he comes from the top, which he's doing, with his fingertips pointed up, he's probably going to take it a little lighter on the inside and maintain more weight on the exterior. Good question. Again, it's just all knowing, isn't it? It's all those what ifs. Those are the number one questions I always get asked. It's always, but what if you did this? Because they always want to do it differently, you know what I mean? What if I tried it this way? Well, try it and see what happens. That's kind of how it works.
I think a lot of it has to do also with having taught at a beauty school level for many, many years, and you try and just practice what you preach.
Yeah, and you experiment.
So I'm just going to continue now that I feel like I have a really good balance going on. I set myself up. Like, if I really screw it up now, it's because I'm distracted or something. By bringing this back now I'll start to preserve also weight in this area where the hairline's starting to jump up.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing this back is maintaining length at the perimeter as well as weight around the perimeter.
Yeah.
So we go back. I'm really into like early 90s hair. I think a lot of people are right now, not just me. But I was watching this documentary of Alexander McQueen in one of his very first runway shows when he was still a student at St. Martin, I believe.
Yeah.
And when the models came out, they had like a lot of movement to their hair. And I think that was because it was pre-flat iron era. So the hair was like jumping around and moving and swinging along with the outfits.
Yeah.
And there was definitely shapes involved because it was above the shoulder, so it was very strong. But the hair had a lot of life to it on its own, and I was really into that. And given the opportunity to work with a live person, and in a situation like this, not in a salon, because you never know who's going to walk in the salon and sit in your chair. But I know Karina's hair from pictures, her hair had a nice little movement to it, so I wanted to work with something similar to that. Instead of, like Stephen Moody says, welding the hair down, beating it to submission with
Yeah.
like heat and irons and stuff like
I think that was the mid to late 90s that started to happen, the flat iron. I remember being in that kind of era, because when I was training we weren't using flat irons. They were massive and we just weren't allowed, and then all of a sudden we were, and you just beat the hair to do what you wanted it to do, which was just one dimensional. Everything was just flat fabric.
Well, think about how the hair looks without ironing it. Like how the haircut actually stands on its own.
Yeah, it does something. Yeah.
that. It's like the contemporary classics.
Oh, to me that's like the Bible. Any of those haircuts. I mean, you're doing one now. So yeah. Well, you're measuring, getting a ballpark idea. Yeah.
All right. So now going on to the right side, I'm going to speed this up.
Yeah. You're losing your audience as we speak. Just kidding.
You got to go pick up someone at the airport.
Yeah.
So moving from the back towards the front, taking some hair from the back here as a guideline.
Right. Are you going to hold it the same way?
Yeah. Move this way.
Okay, so I'm going to stand here now and I get to see what level of over direction you're going to do.
So this hair really needs to come up to protect this
Yeah.
perimeter. And then I don't necessarily want to overdirect back too much.
Okay, so you're not going to use too much over direction. You're going to use it with elevation.
Yeah. And the reason why I don't want to overdrag back too much is because of the amount of texture that she has in her hair. If I start pulling too far back, it's going to build a lot of length towards
Going
the
to get
front.
too
It's
heavy, too quick. Yeah.
So, also keeping in mind that this will fall over. We'll keep everything under control. It's okay to remove some of this weight from here. All right. So bringing this up. Checking for that guideline right in there. Little survivor right here.
So good. Perfect.
Yeah, perimeter stays, weight gets removed.
Now, what made you choose vertical sections as opposed to taking horizontal sections and using finger angle?
That's a great question. If I use a vertical section like I am now, as I'm pulling the hair up or elevating the hair, I'm aware of where that perimeter drops out. And I still have the option of allowing that much perimeter drop out or that much perimeter drop out. If I do it horizontally, I'm going to control my shape, but say your hair was longer and I want to protect it, I'd have to like really pull over.
It's like over direction. You've only got so much space to bring that hair to, so it's only going to get so long. So to elevate it,
You're in better control.
finger angle, elbow is going to control more.
So in these areas, the hair, obviously, we start to lose a lot of
Density.
hairline, so
Yeah.
I'm going to pull back just a little bit more on these areas.
So not only using the elevation and finger angle and the elbow to protect the outline, now you're using over direction just to keep this area that's less dense protected.
Absolutely.
See, that's understanding like the terrain, the landscape. He understands where the density sits around the hairline. That's the whole point in why we use over directions and elevations, is to create consistencies. So that when we hit those areas, we don't get any hidden surprises. Very nice.
So it's definitely removed weight, but it didn't like cut a hole in here. It's good. It's good, right, Karina?
Beautiful hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta make sure it's okay with her. She wears it.
So if I just take a quick cross check horizontally,
Cross check.
I will see a very gradual increase of length towards the front. So something that we can just lightly refine.
So cross check the opposite dimension.
And here's where I started to pull back further. So it just starts to get a little long. Very slippery. So this is another way I could have cut it, right, Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
It chose not to. Alright. So now I'm going to do this side, but I will change hand positions to here. Because if I stand in the front to do that, I'm not standing directly in front of her because her body's not, unless I'm giving her a lap dance, which I'm not intending to do.
No, not today.
Yeah. So I would then be forced to stand a little further over to the side, which then will change the amount
Right.
of over direction or where I'm lifting.
All right, so let's recap on what we're doing. What we've got going on is we've got a perimeter, a bob outline, which Manny has started from the front, working diagonal sections into the back, front to back. Done that on both sides, and then what he's done, he's gone to this point right behind the ear.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Yeah.
Which I'm going to start now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it this way.
And what he's doing is he's layering that outline, and it's very, very similar to the layered bob technique that I did on the tutorial we did last week, the layered bob versus the bob with graduation. But what he's choosing to do is using more elevation and less over direction so that he can actually remove a little bit more weight through here. So again, another awesome Knowledge Destroy Sphere tutorial. So you can see he's using elevation so that we can protect this outline length, but we can also reduce some bulk through here.
I'm doing some more here from back here. There we go. Perimeter.
Yes, we will save this live. We do every live. And you can also find them, they'll be up for like 24 hours on my Instagram Live. And then I will also put them on my Facebook, which Manny will then put on his Facebook. But we're also going to add them to the Factory TV. So for anybody that subscribes to Factory TV, these will go onto the database on Factory TV so that we have them all the time. And I'm also going to add, for some of you guys that watched me years ago, before this became real common practice, I did Factory Night Live, which was on Ustream. It's kind of like one of the first. And I did quite a lot of classes, and I'm going to put them back on the website so you guys can get a lot more tutorials on all that salon-friendly stuff. Looks very square. That's an interesting comment. The shape that Manny's working on is triangular. It's getting heavier towards the front. The outline, you may be confusing with square. What that means is it's flat, but it's definitely not square because a square has four corners. Basically, it's a line, and the line is level from front to back.
So you can see here, as I pull this section back, it will travel further, so it's going to get a little bit longer towards the front. So, definition of triangular, right? Longer towards the front.
Yeah, it gets heavier towards the front. You look at the density horizontally and you'll see that it's triangular. It's not a triangle. but it has that kind of flow to it. So again, what we're doing is we've put an outline in and we're layering while protecting that. Manny's literally cutting a layered bob. So another variation of some of the shapes that we've been playing with. Again, the whole idea of what we're doing is to show you guys alternative ways of controlling your haircut and creating different shapes.
You can see here that this line.
So with that over direction back into the previous, you can see that it gets heavier towards the front. Yeah, she does have gorgeous hair. I mean, look at that, it's such a natural wave. Very cool. Alright,
Alright.
so now the top.
Yeah, so the tops, she parts her hair down the center. So some of this hair is going to fall on her left side, some of it's going to fall on her right side. So I'm just going to work down the middle with these sections vertically, right across.
Right.
And I will pull these back. These will not connect to the underneath whatsoever.
Right.
And the reason is, if I do connect it, hair will start to get really big. And with her hair texture, as the more weight we move, the more it'll want to like curl up and expand.
So you're disconnecting.
Yeah. So I want this to remain long to have more weight to keep everything under control.
Gotcha.
So I may even use this to
For
right
the
around the
outline.
perimeter, right? So she has like a faux layered bob, one length. Sorry, a faux one
A
length.
faux lob. Manny's cutting a faux lob. It's the new thing.
Yeah. See.
It's called a flob.
But as this comes up, it's going to reduce some of that bulkiness in there because the underneath is layered as well.
And you're not going to take those layers any shorter so they don't get too strong and
Oh, no way.
not do anything, right?
Right.
Good.
I'm just going to work forward now. Making sure. I'm really just going to stand here the entire time and pull things towards me.
Okay, we're gonna watch that. So now you can see his over direction. Sorry, Aaron.
Yeah, let's see the back of your head. Super simple. I remember doing this in a salon when I would take clients, and it was just, it did something to the hair, the way it would move with the top one just a little bit longer. I feel like it would just kind of hug the head shape, and you could wear it either way. Just worked really well.
So you worked in a salon. You've not just always been a teacher.
Well,
You took a little,
I took a little hiatus.
well, what was
I
it, like
in
2 or
exile.
3 years?
Yeah, 3 years.
Well, we were both in exile, but we made it.
Still
So you went to New Jersey and you worked with our good friend Colin Caruso
Caruso,
at
yeah.
Carew
That's right.
in Hoboken.
I moved to Jersey City, New Jersey, and worked in Hoboken, New Jersey, which I had no idea what that was until I visited for the first time. It was right outside Manhattan, which is a really cool place to live. But a lot of New Yorkers work in Manhattan, but they actually commute from other places like Connecticut or as far as like Pennsylvania even.
Right.
And a lot of people would just commute from Hoboken into New York, whether it be ferry or path train, or you take the bus. The
The bus? Are you Mike Tyson?
And yeah, it was a great place to live. But I took a lot of clients, and a lot of these clients worked in like, advertisement, retail, or marketing in the city. So really demanding people. But it was awesome. Great experience. And what I learned there during my time was the majority of the people don't want undercuts. They don't want like unicorn hair color. They just want a normal haircut. And they'll pay good money for it because they have a job that they need to keep and they have to look a certain way, very professional. I mean, some of these people were like physicians and attorneys at law.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I I felt like I really changed. I came back a different person or a different haircutter than when I was an educator at the school for many, many years, trying to just do things for the sake of doing them, making women cry, just because I felt like cutting their hair off that day.
Because you were doing it for yourself. You were being selfish. All right, so we had a great question a little bit ago. Can you talk about if the client had a deep side part, how you might go about the top section differently? And that came from Stylist Julianne, and she is a Jersey girl, she says.
Ooh.
So here's the deal. When you're working with a side parting, what has to happen is the side with the parting has to be shorter than the side with the heaviness, right? So what you would have to do, you would have to use a completely different over direction on one side than the other. But you see what Manny's doing is he's working with a complete disconnect.
Well, let me.
So how would you go about doing it? Because I know how I would.
Right. So say this was not a disconnection, right?
Yeah.
And then she's going to use the center part.
So then it's even.
Right.
But what
Which
if we had...
she is. Or say she's going to cut it, she's going to wear it to her left side. All right? But I choose to cut it right down the middle, just because I want balance during the haircut. So I cut these two lengths, and they're balanced, both sides.
Yeah.
Right? When it falls even
Yep.
down the center. But if I were to part her hair to the side, which is how she would wear it, maybe even further over, like some
Yeah.
women do, what happens there is you have these what are even up here.
But then when they move...
Yeah, so one will fall here and the other one will fall a little higher.
Yep.
Because of the fact that the hair is now divided further over.
Yeah,
to
it's
one
coming
side.
from past the center.
So what was balanced now has to travel further and doesn't reach the same way. So technically, this side has to be a little bit longer than this one, this side. So up here, it's not balanced, but when it falls, this one lands somewhere right around here, and this
Yeah.
one lands visually
Yeah,
where the other one would land.
right.
So that's if you're going with the side part, which a lot of people do, and nobody really talks about it.
So when you do the side parting, so let me explain how I would do it.
Talk to me, Goose.
So if we had a side parting here, right, down here, then what I would do is I would bring all of the heavy side back to that crown where Manny did. But then on this side where I had the parting, I wouldn't use as much over direction. I would use less over direction until I got to the apex. Then I'd use the over direction. And then I'd be in the same area. Technically what you have to do is you have to measure the distance from symmetrical center to where the parting's going to be, and that's the difference in length that each side has to have.
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly, yeah. What a lot of people do is they'll cut it evenly and then they'll point cut afterwards. That's the easy way of doing it. There is a technical way, and I love teaching that in class. So when we do Knowledge Destroys Fear, that's part of the class, is understanding how to balance a parting so that you don't end up with newscaster layers.
So I'm just going to go ahead and bring all this hair over.
Do you find that the heavy side seems overlayered? I mean, if you overlayer it, I mean, basically you're just trying to get them to fall in the same place, so it'll be the same amount. That weight line, in a sense, will fall in the same spot.
So these longer layers above, the underneath, I feel keeps everything under control.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
keeps it heavier.
this would end up like
Exactly.
up here.
Yeah.
So let me just cross check what I do.
Are we coming to Vegas anytime to teach again? We don't have any plans right now, but it tends to happen a few times a year. So just keep posted with us, you know.
I'll be in San Antonio this weekend at the World's Fair. Week after that, I'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina. Second weekend of October. And then first weekend of November, I'll be in Cleveland, Ohio, the trade show there, just in case you're wondering.
Cool.
DJ will be
What
doing
we'll
some
do is
travel.
we'll put them up and we'll let you guys know where Manny's going to be. I'm going to be in New York City next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend for Intercoiffure. I'm going to be officially pinned as a member, and I'm also going to cut hair for Hairbrain Teaching at Intercoiffure. We're looking for models, so if you're in New York City and you want a haircut by me or any of the other awesome artists involved,
Alright, so I'm
let us
gonna,
know.
as I'm looking through it, I like the way this is looking, but those long pieces that I originally,
Yeah.
so I don't like them because they're not flowing. So I'm
I
gonna,
like 'em.
I'm gonna lift them up and add them into an area that I will be happy with. It's very good.
Yes, that's 11 days away until I'm in New York.
Wonder who asked that.
And then Joe will see them. Yes, mate, we will do. Could you please tell us Manny's last name? I missed the beginning of this video, thank you. Manny's last name is San Martin. Or San Martin.
Yeah. Some people would say like St. Martin, like Saint Martin.
Saint Martin, but it's not, it's San.
San Martin. It's alright.
And you can find him on Instagram at esan Martin.
I think you could type it if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. That's easier.
So I'm just gonna remove these.
Thanks for that, man.
That should feel better. Yeah, so for the San Antonio trip this weekend, I'll be with the Nioxin team. I'll be representing them. And then I won't be doing anything for the factory until November 13th or something like that. 12th and 13th.
Dude, you're always doing things for the factory.
Right. I'm doing something right now.
Yeah, we're teaching a class in November, but that's sold out, so we don't really need to talk about that one. We've got the one coming up in Newport, but that's in December. But we have this really cool event that we want you guys to know about. Here in San Diego, there's a bunch of hairdressers that are pretty good. You may have heard of them, they're all over the industry. And we have a barber teacher at Bellas here in San Diego who's diagnosed with cervical cancer, and she needs some help. So what we've done is we're joining together and we're going to cut some hair for her. It's a demonstration situation. It's about $75, and if you're in San Diego, you should be there. If you don't, then I'm going to consider you lame. I think it's important that we all come together as an industry and help this person out that needs our help. So that should be a fun event. It's here in downtown at Loose Loft, and it'll be myself, Manny, Matt from Bellas, James and Ben from 3 Education, and we're going to talk about hair and how we ended up here in San Diego and all that cool stuff. And you can get the tickets at bellasacademy.edu/cometogether.
It's just curling different. I like it.
Manny's scissors are Mizutani, and they are the
Very sharp.
penciling, the factory version. And that was from somebody in the Philippines. Hi, Philippines.
Mabuhay?
What's up, Dana? How you doing, man?
So I don't necessarily want to dry this straight, but I do want to refine it. So this side just looks longer, but as I look through it and check it, it's actually pretty even. But maybe this side just wants to curl a little different, so I'm going to go over it one more time. Overall, though, what I was envisioning is very similar to what I'm looking at, which I'm happy with. I'm going to diffuse it, put some product in it, move it around, see what it wants to do. Have her like walk around, have the hair settle in. But it's definitely got a lot of movement in there. There's layers, there's a solid outline.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we've got that initial shape in there,
It's so easy.
bob outline, and then he's layered, utilizing the outline as a guide, basically, from around the natural round of the head, over directed to the previous, basically all the way through, and then this top panel, like this little like kind of faux hawk, mohawk section, he's worked that longer over the top so that we don't get those short layers through the crown area, and it kind of gives it that nice shape. So now you're going to blow dry it,
I'll diffuse it.
diffuse it,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back to you guys with the finished result.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Photos too.
We'll see you in a bit, guys.
Let's blow dry.